Hello, it's Friday, October 9th. Let's talk PlayStation. Alright, so let's start off with some PlayStation 3. Just last week, right after LTPS went up, this news kind of broke out, but basically PlayStation 3 shipments are being halted and discontinued for New Zealand. Just specifically New Zealand, but basically, once retailers run out of PS3s in New Zealand, new consoles will not be sent to retailers. Orders are being halted, more or less. PS3 is kind of done there. They're still going to be, supplying games and stuff, peripherals, things like that, but more or less PS3 is kind of discontinued in that territory. And people saw this news story and thought, okay, well, PlayStation 3 is probably going to be discontinued everywhere else as the beginning of the end, and certainly it is the beginning of the end, so to speak, but I think PS3 still is going to be around for a few more years in, major territories like Europe and North America. PS3 had to be selling in pretty low volumes in New Zealand to be discontinued, so it's kind of understandable. And we are 2 years into PlayStation 4 at this point, so yeah, it is the beginning of the end, but I think PS3 is still going to be around for a little bit in most other major territories. So let's talk a little bit about some Shuhei Yoshida, because it seems like every week he's always somewhere at some publication of some sort, always making some interesting quotes that we of course are going to talk about. So of course, if you if you watch Greg Miller and Con Moriarty, the Kind of Funny Games cast and all that, and their new podcast, PS I Love You, Shuhei was recently on that and gave a number of interesting details. The two things I want to talk about was specifically Sony Bend. Of course, Sony's developer, Sony Bend. Their last game was Uncharted Golden Abyss. We're still wondering what the hell they're doing. When are we going to see their PS4 game? We don't know, but Shuhei did mention that basically it's the biggest game they've ever done, which I would agree with without even seeing the game, because they've been working on it for how long, and it's a PlayStation 4 game. Sony Bend traditionally has only worked on handhelds and smaller scale games, so yeah, I mean, this is kind of like one of those things where it was like the Order 1886, Ready at Dawn. Ready at Dawn was just doing PSP games, good big games, but they were still kind of bite-sized compared to, the Order 1886, which was a big multi-million-dollar, very gorgeous-looking game, by the way. So I'm just really excited to finally see what it is. I want to just see how it even looks. I mean, not even what it is, but I just want to see, like, the talent that, like, I know that studio can produce something really good looking. I want to see finally, but hopefully it'll be soon. The other thing I want to talk about was PlayStation VR. One interesting little thing that Shuhei was talking about was in terms of PlayStation VR, and apparently like an overwhelming amount of people want to buy PlayStation VR, and this little comment was derived from the fact that back in TGS this year, when they kind of had PlayStation VR, announced the sort of renaming of it, and once it was on the show floor and people got to actually try it out and things like that, apparently every time somebody tried out PlayStation VR, Sony would ask that particular person, would you buy this? And an overwhelming amount of people said yes, they would buy PlayStation VR, which certainly that's kind of like good news to hear, but I think we can all kind of acknowledge that, like, this is just like one specific trade show, and it's a specific trade show that is very game oriented. More often than not, people that go to a video game trade show are gamers that love video games and want to buy the latest and greatest things. So not entirely surprising that people want to buy PlayStation VR that are going to TGS, but the thing that Shuhei always keeps going on about, and anybody at Sony that keeps going on about, is that they want the whole idea is that they have to try it. They have to try PlayStation VR, because that was the whole thing, is that, they go out and try it at TGS, and then once they come back and they say, would you buy PSVR, the person goes, oh, hell yeah, I'll buy it. And that's just because they were just high off the fact that they were they just got finished playing it, and they probably had a good time playing it. So it's just that's kind of the big hurdle we always talk about with PlayStation VR, is that it's hard to do an advertisement or something. It's hard to do a TV commercial. The big thing is, like, people have to put this thing on their head and actually try it to experience it and realize, like, how pretty damn cool it is. Same thing with Oculus. I mean, that is the biggest hurdle people have with it, and that's what so many people are easily saying at home behind their computer, reading this stuff on IGN or something, which is like, oh, virtual reality is such a gimmick, or blah, 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 I don't care about it. But chances are, if you put that thing in your head and tried it, you would think it's pretty damn cool, and I think that's what Sony needs to really get going here, is once it, they're closer to 2016, and closer to having this thing actually out, setting up kiosks, events and things like that, and a little tour bus that they've done previously with all sorts of games and things. They need to do that stuff. Now, this is when Shuhei was talking to Eurogamer, but he was discussing a little bit about Driveclub, Evolution Studios, and kind of their future, and the possibility of a Driveclub too. And he had one interesting quote which I wanted to mention. So he said, "The driving genre is a very difficult market right now. The team, we need to find a great angle for the racing to continue, to come up with a new racing game. If we're to look at another racing title, creative ideas come when things are tough. So that light bulb moment I'm looking forward to." Now, I take a number of issues with this. I mean, the driving genre is a very difficult market right now. I mean, I don't necessarily see that. I think this is Shuhei's kind of way of saying, like, you know, there's always been this, like, little thing in the back of our minds where it's like, and I'm sure Sony obviously feels this way, which is they have Polyphony Digital, they have Gran Turismo, and you have this situation where you have one of the other Sony developers releasing what is essentially a good-looking, somewhat, you know, simulator type game. It's always sort of a, you know, argument there of, like, if Driveclub is, you know, simulator or a little bit of a cross between arcade mechanics and things like that. But the point is, you do have this very good-looking racing, you know, type simulator game, and then you have this big elephant in the room, which is Gran Turismo, which has always been Sony's flagship racing game. We all know GT7 is coming at some point, hopefully soon, and it'll probably have VR support, which Shuhei also mentioned how he wants GT7 to have virtual reality support, which it probably will, I would assume. It's just like, I feel like, you know, Sony's kind of in this difficult position where they don't know what to do with Evolution, because the thing with Driveclub is that Driveclub still sold very, very well. I mean, that game has sold, you know, easily over to, 2 million copies, right? But that was a news story we talked about. 2 million copies. I mean, PlayStation Plus version finally came out, and I'm sure that definitely gave them a little boost. Tons of content for that game. I mean, it's just tough to sort of greenlight a Driveclub 2, so to speak, when you know you're going to be having GT7 soon. So it's like, I'm wondering where they're going to go from there. You know, where is Evolution going to go? I mean, I don't think it is going to be a Driveclub 2. I want it to be hopefully something else. Evolution's still a good developer, and I want to see a lot of stuff come out of them. Me, still a huge MotorStorm fan. I would love another MotorStorm. I don't think that's going to happen either, but I would love to see them keep making stuff. So, let's talk some numbers, shall we? Of course, today, the Nathan Drake Collection finally comes out. I'm super excited. I can't wait to go out and buy that thing and start hunting some trophies, but Naughty Dog talked about how basically they kind of did some research and came to the conclusion that 80% of PlayStation 4 owners have never played an Uncharted game, which I would assume they did a bunch of surveys and, like, looked at, I don't know, I guess trophies wouldn't work because that's the whole point, is that, you know, people probably didn't have a PS3 that haven't played Uncharted or something. Usually when you look at these statistics, that they always actually use trophy data to figure out how many, you know, how often people have, like, beaten the game or something like that. But either way, 80% of people that own a PS4 haven't played Uncharted. That's certainly believable, because again, we've got this console generation is doing so well, where it's like, of course, PS4 is in the situation where it's doing so well for a number of reasons. People that did own a PS3 have, of course, upgraded. People who didn't have a PS3 have bought a PS4. People that haven't bought a game console in a very long time have bought a PS4. Like, the system's doing very, very well in that regard, and it's not surprising that a overwhelming majority of them haven't played a big marquee title from last generation. So, this is always one of those things where it's like kind of a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, I mean, why not remaster all 3 games that were such a big sort of, which was such a huge success for PlayStation 3, and certainly why wouldn't you do it when you've got how many people that still haven't played the games. But the big news story this past week, which was just recently announced and effective today, is that in North America, the PlayStation 4 has seen an official MSRP price cut. So in North America, you can now get a PlayStation 4 for officially as low as $349.99, and if you live in Canada, you can get it for as low as $429.99. So awesome. I mean, we were certainly due for it. I mean, you know, we always talked about the you know, price of PlayStation 4 in North America and what was going to happen there, and it was always the same conversation where it was like, you know, they could do it because they are making profit on every single system, but more often than not, they were just adding more value to the box by doing bundles or adding extra games, extra controllers. There was a bunch of retailer incentives, so there was really no reason for them to do it, especially since they had such a huge market lead. But there was also a good reason to do it, because they can afford to cut the price of it because they were earning profit on every single system. They're going to be due for it at some point because the system's been on the market for almost 2 years now. So it was always in this weird spot where it was like, you know, I wasn't entirely sure when they were going to do it, but I had basically, like, when they do it, I would have seen a justification for it on either way, if they did or didn't do it. Either way, it's here now, and it's a great time to do it, certainly, because, well, it's holiday season. You know, we're going into the holiday season, and I'm sure Sony wants to keep their fantastic momentum going, and that's certainly going to help. Now, the thing I've always mentioned is, like, because Sony has, like, that's the thing, there's been a ton of, like, retailer incentives and you know, far before this official price cut, so you could have gotten a PS4 like below $400 easy the past, I don't know, past 6 months now, past 12 months now. You could have easily gotten a PS4 below that price, and even if you weren't, it was always some weird thing where you'd get like a gift card from Best Buy or something, or again, you would pay the $400 flat, but you'd get like extra stuff that you were going to buy anyway, like a year of PlayStation Plus or a game that you were going to buy. So that's the thing, like, it's not often you go out and buy a system and it's just a flat price and you're not going to invest a single dollar over that, right? So that's why the whole bundles thing's always made a whole lot of sense. But yeah, $349.99, pretty cool. I mean, if you haven't bought one now, I mean, now's a great time to do it. Some people are wondering, you know, why they're doing it now and just announcing it all willy-nilly and not saving it for something like Paris Games Week or PSX. My guess is, well, for Paris Games Week, that doesn't necessarily, it's not entirely relevant to announce a North American price cut at Paris Games Week. And PSX, I mean, that's cutting it too close to the holidays, where, you know, like, that's going to be in December, basically. So to announce it this early and get it into the consumers' minds and being able to start advertising it, marketing it, is a, you know, that's like the perfect distance. There's plenty of time for people to go out and buy it now, and for Sony to supply the systems to retailers to, you know, for it to really set in. Whereas if you were to drop the price in December, you know, how many days before Christmas, you're kind of like missing out on millions of sales. So those are some of the news stories I want to talk about with you guys this week. What did I want to talk about? The PS4 community, the PlayStation 4 community that we opened and we talked about last week. Holy crap, awesome, dude. It's over 400 members now. I honestly wasn't expecting, like, I was expecting like a little over 200, like, but like to stay under 300. That's awesome that we're at 400. So if you haven't joined that, go ahead and join it. I'm posting in there. I mean, I really wish you could reply to people's posts. That would make it like 10 times better. Because, you know, if 4 people like ask a question, I basically, you know, I can't. It would be so much easier if it was like more like Facebook or something where you could like, or like Twitter where you could directly reply to each post. But either way, I'm like loving that feature. I keep checking it like every single day, and so cool. So if you haven't joined it, give it a look, for sure. Anyway, the Ryan on gaming topic was a pretty simple one. What's my favorite game console? Kind of more of a personal topic, not necessarily about the games industry, but like, hey, you know, I'll tell you what my favorite games console is, and some of my like generally like high favorites. I mean, little you know, teaser here, little spoiler alert. I like pretty much like everything. I think in that video I mentioned, like, I recorded that video actually months ago. But I think I mentioned like 4 different platforms or something, and I'm spoiling the video at this point, so if you want to watch it, go ahead and watch it. I gotta stop, dude. Talking is like, that's why I do YouTube, because I just talk people's ears off, I swear to God. Actually, at work today, when I left work, I was talking to a buddy who was still on duty, and I swear to God, I stayed for 40 minutes past the time that I was supposed to leave, just talking about video games. 40 minutes. Like, I could have like went home or whatever, but I just stayed and talked to them for like 40 minutes about games. I can't help it. Jag 2 Part 12 as well is up. So that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching this week's episode of Let's Talk PlayStation. Thank you all for talking with me. I'm Ryan Becky, and I'll see you guys next Friday. I fucked that up again. I'll leave it in there. Time to play some Uncharted. 3 new shiny platinums for me.